Hey legends, welcome to the Connect podcast,
A no BS approach to connecting people,
connecting businesses, connecting communities.
and connecting successes. Connection is why we're here. You're the captain of your own ship, and your business is the ship, and you're in charge. You're the person to blame. The buck stops at you if the ship sinks, and it's up to the business owner or the captain of the ship to make sure all those holes have been punched tight.
Business can be lonely, and we go through peaks and troughs, and the troughs can be pretty low. You come to these events and you realize that you're not the only one having a bad day, or talk out the same issues that we're all having. Every business owner has the same issues.
The swipe right society that we have at the moment, and I'm finding that the kids that I'm dealing with all the time, they can't ever commit to something, because the minute it gets challenging or hard or difficult, then I'm pivoting on to something else. All the the lifetime in the trade to get to, and there were moments, man. Can I swipe? No, I've got to stick it out, man.
Sorry if this is a loaded question, by the way. I feel like I have to. Sorry, I want to say this every single time.
All right, guys, welcome to episode 4 of the Connect podcast, and we've got some special guests for you today. We've got the rest of the Connect fam. So you're joined by myself, Ron. We've got Paddy. We've got Ben, and we're joined by these two lovely looking blokes over here. We've got Dan from GPL Partners. Say hi, Dan. It's okay.
There you go.
You can talk, mate. And we've got Brad, the good-looking guy over here. As you can see, we couldn't get them headphones because we didn't have the size for Brad. So we just thought we didn't want to leave Dan Phil left out as well.
Welcome, boys.
Thanks for having us, guys.
So the idea is that we brought the guys on because, off the back of the podcast, it was all started off the back of a networking group. And we thought we'd bring the guys on and just explain the whole concept and what we're looking to do, how we're looking to help the local Macarthur area, but also other business owners, events that we're putting on, and at the same time, what the whole purpose of everything is.
And want to have a discussion with the boys around some stuff around finance. And,
get to know them. And at the same time, after that, we also wanted to go through some stuff with a new segment that we've got called Grind My Gears. Now, we don't know if it's going to be an ongoing thing, but we thought we'd start off with a one-off, and maybe we'll get some feedback to see how you guys like that, just with some stuff that we see, we maybe don't like, we think can get better, and we think can improve.
A couple of things that grind our gears.
That's it.
Bit controversial, maybe not. Some things that just come up and some things that will be good for conversation.
Oh, what's a podcast without some controversy, eh?
I guess so, yep.
That's it. So you boys, you ready to connect? Let's connect. All right. So Dan and Brad, you started off Connect, and we've all known each other for quite some time. We all connected through a professional networking group, and we've known each other and we've all worked together. We've referred clients to each other, but now we're looking onto new avenues. So you started the Connect concept. Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, look, I think basically during the course of the networking journey, to be fair, I wasn't a massive fan of networking when it all started. I'd walk into the room and I'd be, packing it big time.
I can't tell because you got so much personality.
Yeah, look, it's something that I'm working on. It's a work in progress.
Is that why you became an accountant? Were we trying to go for that whole concept there?
Look, I think for us, it was more about sort of moving ourselves out of our own comfort zones. We probably we plateaued a little bit and got a little bit comfortable in what we were doing. So we wanted to sort of branch out, do something a little bit different. But I think at the same time, to Connect Macarthur is not just about us, it's about everyone's businesses. And from our point of view, we see a big opportunity at Connect Macarthur and for all businesses in the Macarthur area, really, to thrive in the next 5 to 10 years. And a key part of that for me in particular was the ability to have a good support network. We look at the 5 of us in the room today. They've all been a big part of my journey, whether that's personally or professionally. And I think if you don't have a good team behind you, then, business life can get pretty tough and pretty lonely. So
well, I think the Connect family, came together because we believe in the area, and we believe that, there's such opportunity here within the businesses. And, there's some real success stories and some real wins. And, Connect Macarthur, when it was first pitched to me, the idea around bringing people together and really helping each other scale and grow on both personal and business level. I just said, this is a no-brainer. It's a great concept.
I think it's also because we've also seen how we've supported each other through business over the years at the start, dealing with each other either one-to-one or in a group setting. So just coming out of that, it just makes sense.
Yeah. And Brad, tell me, we've had several events already and sold out with every event.
That's right. So I think the first time we organised an event, we invited 10 people, and I think 5 people turned up to the lunch. So we weren't expecting it to get as big as what it's already got in the first few months of it starting. So I think we've had 4 events so far, 40 plus business owners at each event. Had some great businesses, obviously some business in the room already that have supported and sponsored those events, as well as some of the big law firms in the area, as well as your likes of Marsden's and Coots. Speaking of, we've got an event coming up on the 25th of July, so a little plug for that. So get on board with the tickets.
And you're always doing different types of events. I guess the thing that we said about Connect is that we didn't want it to be like your traditional networking groups. That's right. Sometimes they feel like they're a little bit too structured, and people in this area sometimes want something different.
That's right.
You know,
that was behind it initially, because there's a lot around the people don't like the formalities and they wanted something more informal, and we enjoyed catching up on a social level. And I think we've been able to share a lot of business and by getting to know each other on a personal level, which has then help grow our business relationships as well. It
was often important, we've spoken about how important it is to build a friendship and build a bond together before you do business. When you're able to refer with confidence, and that's off the back of building that sort of bond together.
I guess if you trust the other person, you've built a friendship and a relationship with the other person. If that comes first, then I would assume there's an element of trust that's there built from that relationship. So it only makes it easier when you're dealing with them in business.
I think you took the words right out of my mouth, really. You look at you look at us as case and example. Like, I walked into BNI, I didn't know anybody. And from there, we were able to sort of develop a friendship first and foremost, I would say, for all of us. And then off the back of that.
Yeah, well, it took me 3 years at first to get you to realize, oh, hey, he's not a robot. And then
look underneath my tricky persona, my tricky front is just a normal human being with a bit of a smile and a bit of laugh.
He's not AI, guys. he's actually here.
No, but I think if you look at that in context, it took us a long time. If we're talking about the group of 5, it took us a long time to, it didn't happen overnight. I knew Brad from high school, but that sort of relationship sort of only started to evolve a bit more as we got to know each other, become friends first and foremost, built that trust. And then from that trust, the business side of things just takes care of itself. Yeah. So if we take that back to Connect MacArthur, that's why we wanted to move away from, the real formal type environment. Just have it a bit more laid back.
I do feel that the social side of things is a big contributor, because you can sit down with someone in that kind of formal lunch type of setting, and it might take 5-6 meetings to get to that point where you're comfortable. But you have one good night, have some drinks, you get to really know a person, their values, how they are when they just let themselves go. You find the real person, not the one that they're trying to portray. Yeah. I find that my best relationships have been from some of the biggest nights I've had with some of you guys as well, right?
Best business relationships?
Best business and friendships, but they've started off with a big night. And then, as long as you know that the person that you're working with, they're good at what they do, you can trust them, they're transparent, and they know their stuff. It's just that social side of things and being able to go, okay, how can I connect with this person? How can I talk to them? How can I refer to them? If I need to send clients their way, when you're referring to someone, you try, like for me, I try to match that client with someone that's got a similar personality, or I know someone that's going to get along with the person I'm referring to. So you want to be able to know that, trust that person that you're going to go see is going to be able to handle their inquiry, but also get along with them, because you're hopefully referring for a long-term relationship as well, not just a one-off transaction, depending on what type of industry it is.
And I think over the years, a lot of people think that business and friendships don't mix or shouldn't mix, and there's a stigma behind that. And I think it all depends just on how legit that relationship is, and how valuable and strong that trust is. So where people would say business and friendships shouldn't mix, I would say that that's probably where one person is taking the mickey in that relationship. But if you're dealing with a person that, like you said, Ron, is trusted, they know what they're doing, they don't like to let people down, you have faith in what they'll do, then I think it only becomes a beautiful thing where business and friendship can be just connected together and flourish.
Yeah. And what's the feedback that you've had from these Connect events? Are people, like you said, you've sold out the last few events. How's the feedback been from the local community, local businesses? You're getting some big businesses on board?
Yes, I think we've had some great feedback. Obviously, like anything, when you're starting out, it's always going to be some things that don't go well, some things that go really well. And it's around that formality side of thing. We've had a lot of people give us the great feedback that they felt so comfortable, especially with Pat's last event, the speed networking. And then normally they go into a room, they feel it's so uncomfortable, but then we put them in situations where we made it feel comfortable. And they were able to connect with 40 other business owners on the one night, when that would take them quite some time to get to that level. And we've already got a lot of sponsors and supporters wanting to support future events leading into 2025.
Yeah, the last event, Pat's event, with the speed networking structure, I think everyone at first was sort of hesitant because they hadn't seen anything being done like that before. The feedback I came into the room when I first got there was a bit unsure, and then the feedback as we were leaving, like, wow, that was powerful. Like they got a chance to really get in front of people they probably wouldn't have spoken to generally. And connect with them very quickly, and gave us a chance later on to reconnect back up. And overarching what we're trying to achieve here from the Connect family is get people in the same room together. Get people to inspire each other, get people to push each other, and then also collab. Like, we've already seen some businesses since these events go on to work together after the fact. We've built directory now where you can actually contact people within the Connect group and now work together and collab and build successful relationships.
And I feel like everyone I spoke to after that event told me that they got some sort of valuable business connection off it. Like, I was a lot surprised, a lot more surprised than I thought I'd be, because everyone I had a conversation with after that event, asking them how the event was and what their thoughts were and stuff, told me that they were able to connect with someone and exchange some sort of business.
Yeah,
so
it was really
that's a
powerful,
massive success, man.
Really powerful.
Yeah. And we it was us, because we engineered it from the ground up. I didn't know there was any speed networking events done before. I wish I did.
Mate, you need to make that a regular thing, because I think that it was really good. Look, there's some things that we kind of worked out that, we need to space things out. We might need to change the timing. And,
oh God, yeah.
All of this is new to all of us, right?
Yeah, I wish I went to an event. I wish I went to a speed networking event to see what I could have picked out that we could have improved on or done differently or whatever it is. But given that we engineered it from the ground up, I think we did it pretty good.
Yeah, 100%.
We gave it a red hot.
I thought you went to some speed dating ones, didn't you?
Never in my life.
As research?
Never in my life.
Didn't you tell us it was Serena research purposes?
You told me that was you.
Yeah, no way. I did see Ron put his keys in a bowl when he got there.
What does that mean?
I went to the wrong house.
Yeah,
I went to the wrong venue.
He pulled his own keys back out. Damn.
Look, I think it's probably a bit deeper than that too. Like, you look at the business side of things, but for business owners, come back to my initial point, like, business can be lonely, and we go through peaks and troughs, and the troughs can be pretty low in terms of, whether it's you're looking for business, more work, staff issues, just general compliance issues that you deal with in a finance area. You come to these events and you realize that you're not the only one, having a bad day, or, and these events, I find when I walk out of there, that night I can't sleep. You're buzzing, like, and that for me, that's a big part of it too. It's been able to resonate with people, and talk out the same issues that we're all having. Every business owner has the same issues. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree
who
with
you
that.
are.
I definitely agree. Like, I've always been, I want to sit with winners. I want to sit in a circle of hustlers. I want to hear your story, and that motivates me too. So it might not necessarily be transactional. It's more about helping each other to go, hey, I've been through a similar situation. Let's help each other here, or try this way, and then we pump each other up. And man, how good do you feel after that?
100%. Everyone always buzzes after these events.
Yeah.
And you said it might not always be transactional. That's an important note for a lot of business owners to take on, because sometimes they're too fixated on it being a transactional relationship, or it having to be a transactional relationship. But if you're having a conversation with another business owner, whether they're 10 or 20 years into business, they might exchange a few tips and tricks or things that they've learned along the way through their challenges that has helped them save hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then that information from that conversation coming from a connection at an event could be saving you hundreds of thousands of dollars in the long run, or whatever it is. And it wouldn't have happened if that connection didn't happen to begin with. But it's not necessarily a transactional value that has to be focused on, because eventually you learn and you grow from the back of these conversations.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, even Brad, yourself, Dan, like we all work in the finance side of things. You always find yourself giving some type of general advice or guidance, whether it be tax related, talking about a home loan, talking about financial advice or insurance, superannuation, something in these meetings. It always comes back to what you do. So you're giving some tips and tricks, because there's always going to be a question from business. Oh, I've got this, I've got that. What are your thoughts? And you're not giving specific advice, but you're always giving some form of information that should hopefully help them, some education around that.
Because of like long-term things you've learned from each other. Because like you said, it's not transactional. So people not coming to a Connect MacArthur event and expecting to leave there with 5 referrals. We've known each other for 5 or 6 years. So everything takes time to build that trust, and coming to future events, and that's how it's going to.
And the value is also gained off the back of conversations. And that turns into some sort of revenue figure changes or employment retention changes or things like that from conversations that you have with fellow business owners. Yeah. So,
or even share, like you find resources, whether it be even a system that you can implement into your business. I know a few people have, some people are letting staff go, and then someone else might need a staff member. So, off the back of having the hard, it's always hard trying to potentially losing an employee. But if you can offer them another role somewhere else, if they're a good person, because something from a cash flow point of view might not be good in your business, you don't want to let them go. But if there's someone else there and you've got a network of people to go, hey, I've got this great worker. Is anyone happy to take them on board? All this stuff from networking, from those relationships that you have, it's just not the referral side of things. It's the other parts of the business that we all help each other hand in hand.
Yeah, agree. I mean, look, it's really successful, boys, and I just wanted to take my hat off to you two, being the front runners of this. Obviously, people don't see in the background how much work goes into becoming these successful events. So I just want to say, kudos to you guys. Yeah. You're onto something really special, and I think if the area continues to get behind it, it could be the front runner in the way that this area networks.
Yeah,
long
and you
term.
have a whole heap of support behind you as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, like you said, you've got some big businesses on board at the moment, and there's some big plans. So I've heard that there's something happening towards the end of the year, maybe something amazing.
Well, Ben's got to find out firsthand the events, because we've got hopefully Shadow Box.
Yeah, looking to obviously off the back of us moving to a new location, would love to host an event for Connect, and invite some businesses down just to see the new space. So that's in the works if the timing and the stars align. But we're next up, and then
September, and then
you're booked out to the end of the year.
That's here we are.
Yeah, and then that'll take us to our sort of last event for the year. The way we've kind of planned it. Look, we're going to drop it on everyone probably now that we're looking to do.
Exciting stuff, guys. You heard it here first.
Exclusive.
This is a personality exclusive.
Worldwide.
No, look, we're probably, we're looking to do an amazing race style event through the main street of Camden. Get some local businesses involved in that particular area. Still sort of we're in the sort of infinite stages of doing that, but sort of trying to put together a plan of, lists of things and events that we can kind of run on the day. So, if there's any local businesses in the area that are looking to host us on that amazing race, or, looking to support the event, then by all means reach out to us, and, we're happy to, entertain those ideas and, and build it out from there.
You know what I really love about the Connect family and all of us coming together and working on these things is that we've been super innovative.
Yeah.
We've tried to come up with these creative ways.
No one event is the same, right?
So
we always want to keep every event different, and maybe in the future we might double up on things that work well. But
instead of horseshoeing people and sitting them in down and having one person up and the hierarchy of a normal structure, we're doing it the opposite.
Yeah.
We're going to bring people together. We're going to have a bit of fun with it. We're going to try some things, and they can be as left field, but who cares? Just get involved.
Yeah.
It's not really about what the event is about. It's more the intention. The theme is just the fun of it, right? Let's look past the theme itself. Let's remember what the intention is, and if we get people in the room at every event, this thing's going to really grow. So my challenge was to the people. If you're listening to this and you're a business owner, or a business owner, please get involved with Connect, because we know this is the next best thing to grow business long term.
And at these events, I think I mentioned it last time with our company sponsoring the speed networking. Right before we started, I wanted to reiterate the intention behind coming to a networking event, because people get caught up in coming to an event and just looking at it as from a social perspective. But the intention really is to connect with people, no pun intended, to connect with people, get to know them somewhat on a personal level, and see how we can sort of collaborate and make business together and grow each other, lift each other up. And for some people, introvert, extrovert, whatever it is, it may mean you're stepping out of your comfort zone a bit, but you know what? No one really gives a shit. No one's going to be standing there judging you and judging the questions you ask or how the conversation flows. And you know what? If they are, maybe they will eventually filter themselves out
in the wrong room.
Yeah. Like that's what we wonder, right? You guys started this with the whole concept that you don't have to do anything you don't want to do at these networking events, right? You traditionally go to some, you're forced to get up. The hardest part is walking into a networking group for the first time, right? Then you're confronted by about 30 people that you see. Then it's, where do I go? If no one's greeting you, where do I go? And usually then kind of stand to yourself unless you know someone. We want it to be that everyone that walks in feels comfortable. I'm guessing you're going for that concept, and you don't have to get up. You don't have to wear a name tag. You don't have to, get up and speak unless you want to.
A bit controversial, but I never wore those name tags.
Yeah, me too.
I would have got in trouble 400 times, but I was not going to wear my name here like that. Anyway, I'm going to get true.
Well, I did want to say something because those.
I just hated the name tag.
Well,
I'm not going to wear a
those
name
graphics are costing us too much at the front of the podcast, so we're going to have to start wearing name tags.
No, I'm not wearing the name.
We're going to wear a name tag, all right?
No, I'm not.
Guys, if you want Ben to wear a name tag, can you just send us a DM? Yeah, like, share, subscribe.
If this gets 100 likes, I knew you're going to say
100 likes. 100 likes, and Ben will wear a name tag. All right, guys?
Naked.
I was going to say in his undies.
I'm not wearing a name tag. I don't like the whole structure of it. I got myself in trouble several times. I was the president of a previous group. Used to get myself in trouble all the time because I wanted to take it outside the norm.
Yeah, it was a bit weird seeing you in the corner in detention.
I was there. No, I didn't want to do what the norm was. I didn't want to read the script. I just wanted to have a bit of fun. I wanted the group just to vibe. I wanted them to have their own relaxed flavor. Now, this gives this opportunity. Connect is all about the fun, the vibe. We've got some exciting things. There's talks with the boys off camera about bringing some guest speakers in, like to do some seminar days where we actually, really educate our viewers and our business people. So, man, sky's the limit for this group. It's really going to be special.
But in saying that, like you guys, you both work in the finance industry. So let's get to know you a bit better about what you do, and at the same time, I think we're in an environment where the cost of living's going up, but as a business owner, the cost to serve is also going up, right? So you've got on one end your personal expenses, everything's going through the roof. On the other end, the same thing's happening in your business, and you know, businesses are, I think everyone's busy, right? But profit margins aren't getting bigger because the costs are going up. Yes, the money coming in is going up, but it's really getting wiped out by the cost of everything. You know, Dan, you work as an accountant. What are you seeing at the moment in terms of how a business dealing with the cost of living? Are you seeing that more businesses are struggling at the moment?
Look, I think it's industry driven, in fairness, where there's a lot of discretionary spending involved. You're seeing people start to pull back.
Remember, Dan, our listeners might not understand the word discretionary, or it might just be me. So just keep it to...
I think they understand what the word discretionary.
Look, I think, where people have to pull back, they're going to pull back naturally. And so that does impact small business, small, medium enterprise. And, you can see the effects of that. I think people are, it's all hands on deck, right? People are, holding on tightly and they're riding out the roller coaster. But that, for everyone involved, that's just part of being a business owner. This is, this is the roller coaster part. We see this through, and the greener times on the other side of it.
Who would you say? What industries would you say are the most affected right now? Because all I hear with conversations with other business owners, and not industry specific, just any business owner, is everyone's just struggling. That's just the conversations I'm hearing, whether it's staff, which has always been a thing off the back of COVID, or financially, or just sales and whatever. Who would you say? What industry?
Look, I think there's probably a bit of a pullback in the hospitality industry. Even the construction industry. Look, there's trades that are out there doing well because they're in demand, but the construction industry generally, increasing construction costs, increasing wage costs across the market generally. It's hard to put a finger on just one particular industry, but the hospitality construction for me is something that we're seeing an impact. People impacted, but everyone's been impacted. I mean, the other day, the minimum wage increase went up 3.75%, plus we're adding a 0.5% increase into super. So that's 4.25 if I can do the maths right.
I hope you do. Trying to get your business made.
That's a 4% increase. And look, in nominal terms, it doesn't sound like a lot, but
you spread that across each employee.
And rental increases, landlords putting up rent. So there's things that you can do to counter that, and plans that you can put in place, but it doesn't happen overnight, right? It takes time.
Well, then you go kind of back to the drawing board, right? Because you go, okay, well, now my expenses have gone up for these employees, then I've got the super. It means more work for you to go back, look at your pricing, to go back and look at the costs. You've got to constantly be doing it.
I feel like I've gone back to the drawing board a fair amount of times over the last few years.
Yeah.
And obviously, if increase in wages rise and increase in expenses rise, to me, it only makes sense that I increase my prices to my clients. But then that means conversion rate might decrease. And then some people might pull back and start saying, well, these guys have just gone, it's so expensive right now, and have all these. Yeah. So how would you navigate? What would you think would be the best way to navigate through something like that?
Look, I think it's, there's a couple of things there. That's a pretty loaded question, Pat.
Sorry, I'm throwing you.
But,
welcome to the podcast.
well, I'm bringing it open to everyone, by the way. This is, loaded question. We have 4 other people here.
I think that, first and foremost, it's about reviewing what you've got going on, as Ron indicated, and, price points. And that's a challenge, I work with clients on a daily basis, is working out what is that tipping point in terms of conversion and whatnot, and what's really going to give them the best outcome. But also, if you look at it from an accountant's perspective, one thing I will do consistently is come back to, a break-even analysis for clients. It's a staple. It seems very basic in what we do, but if you bring your if you look at your break even, you can review what your fixed costs are, you can review what your variable costs are, and then from there you can work out where what your pricing should be and where you sit in the midst of everything. And if you think that you can't charge extra, then we've got to look elsewhere to sort of mitigate those costs.
Yeah, so oftentimes you have to sort of reverse engineer the way you're charging, right? And you got to play with your numbers a little bit, and then the thoughts for a business owner come up around cutting of hours, cutting of staff,
and efficiencies.
Look, it is always a difficult conversation, and Dan, like I have it with some clients where sometimes we're looking at the business and the personal side of things, but then we'll look at the business and we'll say, like, I have to take the emotion out of some of these conversations, right? Because I'm looking at it purely from a numbers point of view, and Dan, you would probably be the same, where we see numbers on a sheet, and at the end of the day, there are people behind that, and sometimes we have to have the difficult conversation where it's about you're sacrificing, and I know you love your employees, and I know you love your business, but sometimes you need to let go because you're sacrificing your own livelihood. Right? And it's a difficult conversation to have, but is it really worth it to try and keep everything there when it can all fall apart and you lose everything?
Sorry, Pat.
The concept that I usually explain to the guys when we have our team huddles or have conversations with other business owners is that you're the captain of your own ship, and your business is the ship, and you're in charge. You're the person to blame. The buck stops at you if the ship sinks. And a hole in the ship could be an employee not working to what their efficiency is, or a hole in the ship could be an overcharged wholesaler, or overcharged supplier. A hole in the ship could be efficiencies in the admin side. A hole in the ship could be cash flow. And it's up to the business owner or the captain of the ship to make sure all those holes have been plunged tight. So at the end of the day, if the ship sinks, the buck stops at the business owner. And
100%.
And the business owner, depending how they want to sort of blame the world, can either take extreme ownership in the situation and say, you know what, I did make mistakes and this was me and I could have made different decisions along the way, or it was this person's fault, or it was that person's fault, or it was that person's fault, or it was inflation, or it was the cost of living, or it was this and that, whatever it is. I think that's the best way that I've sort of understood it. But in saying that, it does get a bit difficult, and I feel like these years there's a few more holes that the captains have to start navigating through.
You can't plug.
Faster.
Look, I was going to say having a good accountant is important for this, right?
A good team. I come back to that concept all the time. Is having a good team around you. It doesn't matter who it is. But I think on a flip side of that was sort of a little bit doom and gloom in terms of what we're talking about. But by the same token, if you charge what you want to charge at the end of the day in terms of pricing, if you're above market expectation, let's call it, find your value, find your 100%. Point of difference. Don't be scared to take it head on, back yourself. But just know that if you're competing A and B, you've got to have your point of difference, and that's not even talking as an accountant. That's just in general. Yeah.
And sometimes people aren't always going to sign up with you. But sometimes it means that you need to get less clients in order to achieve that as well, right? You're not going to get always your ideal client. So when you price up your model, you are gonna push some people out, but you tend to work with potentially a different level or caliber of clients, a different niche of clients. Yeah. So it's up to you to go, you know what, I've committed to this and push through.
Talking captain of the ship, I definitely resonate with that. We're the front runners here, and often, like Dan is my accountant, so we will have, several conversations a week around, pivoting the business into maybe new categories to find a way for me to not have those conversations with my staff. Like it's my responsibility, if I love my team, to keep a roof over their head. And I take that responsibility wholeheartedly, so I don't want to have that conversation. So then it's my job to work with my team to make sure we find a way in a tough market. Now, I look at this market like it's opportunistic, not so much that it's, more doom and gloom.
Yep.
So while, yes, businesses are suffering and, probably not, doing what we used to do as such, there's a chance for you now to work on the business and find new avenues to pivot into.
But also, I think at the same time, where your business is one thing, but it's also not putting all your emphasis in that business because it's growing your personal assets as well. And that's where we can maybe bring Brad into the conversation, because you've been looking all pretty over there, and I think you have something to say. But let's find out a little bit more about you, because when people are setting up a business, getting into work, what they want to do, they want to buy property.
That's right.
And that's where Brad comes in. So, Brad, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yep.
What your business is and who you help.
Yeah. So obviously Brad Director, Experity Capital is the business name. It's a mortgage broker from residential and commercial space. But I think Dan hit the nail on the head before. It's about having that A team around you. So I think our office is Ron, the financial planner, Dan, the accountant, and myself, being the broker, being on the same page with our clients. So especially when it comes back to cost of living and businesses struggling or trying to grow their business, at the same time they want to try and look at buying their next property or growing their portfolio or whatever that may look like. It's then having that good balance of the tax planning, but also finance planning as well, to make sure that you're setting the business up in the right way to then put yourself in the right way for the banks to look at your income to be able to get you in that next owner-occupied home or an investment property or whatever that may be.
Well, it is that fine balancing, right? Because on one end, as a business owner or as anyone, no one wants to pay tax, right?
Yep.
So you're kind of going that you want to minimize how much income you've got. And that's a massive issue for you, isn't it, Brad?
That's right. But look, the banks have sort of changed their mindset coming out of COVID too. So gone are the days of looking at the average of the last 2 years in terms of your business financials and your tax returns. They're looking at most recent financial year, and even some banks now looking at the wage that you've been paying yourself over a 6 monthly period. So
is that the key takeaway for that? Like, if you're preparing to borrow, depending on your circumstances, obviously, and I understand you can only give general advice today, right? But are you preparing for a 6 or 12 month of sort of savings?
That's right.
and
So it was more before, it was like a 2-year plan, which was harder for self-employed businesses to plan for. But I guess now, what are we, middle of June, coming up to the financial year, having your tax planning meetings with your accountant and having those discussions now are super important, because the income you're showing at the end of June 30 this year, the banks are then going to look at that over the next 18 months or what have you. But it's even the case of before we had to plan 12, 24 months out, but now it's like a 6 monthly plan.
okay.
So even that's for someone starting, like if I started a business in January this year, if I complete my first tax return come June, I could potentially look at if I've got the savings available.
No. So it's more businesses that have been in business for more than 2 years already.
Because that still applies, right? Because I remember when I started my business, did exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I was trying to get around that just to help out viewers out there.
I earned a little bit of money, and then you think you want to invest in property. The bank basically looks at you and says, no way.
That's right. Look, there's some alternative lending and some second-tier funders that will look at that on a low doc loan, but then you're paying higher interest rates and things like that. So if you want to get into the market quicker, then that's the way to do that. But it's mainly for those businesses that have been in business for more than 2 years. They don't necessarily have to wait for the next 2 years to show great income and average it out. We can then plan for the next 6 to 12 months is when we can start looking at executing on a property purchase.
What would be your best suggestions right now in today's market to give people if they were looking at purchasing an investment?
Yep.
If they were in business, sorry, what would you say would be the best way to approach it on their end in terms of what they should have saved percentage-wise and what they should be expecting the whole process would be like?
Look, from a saving, again, another
today's market,
loaded question there.
Yeah,
So like
that's what I'm about, baby.
Heavy.
That's what I'm about.
Okay,
Call it a snack pack because it's fully loaded.
So we'll break it down from like a savings perspective. Like in an ideal market, 20% deposit is where you want to be at in terms of avoiding paying LMI, lender's mortgage insurance.
I love when you say abbreviations. It's just like
LMI.
That's what I've got to be careful of.
I've got to Google them under the table just to work out what they are.
But that's what I like to do, clients, is sort of break things down, take the jargon out of the complexities, because there is a lot of complexity, especially for self-employed, first home buyers, whatever it may be. But yeah, that's a key point there for savings. But also from getting a good accountant is super important, and having those planning sessions, not just throwing out your accountant going, hey, send me the tax returns, do this, this and this because I need to borrow for this. It's having the pre-planning in place is the key.
Pretty sure that's what I did. Yes, both.
Well, even I think that's where we've got a lot of mutual clients together because it works well. We're in the office where as long as we get the client's agreement, it's just so easy to share information, right? Being able to flick if I need anything for their insurance or their superannuation, setting up investments, straight to Dan. If even if Brad needs anything from after the loan's taken out, clients want insurance or want to make sure that they've got a bit of a cash flow plan in place to manage those repayments, getting all that information from Brad is easily. So this is where we talk about that A team, right? Making sure that you feel like a celebrity and you've got a team of people around yourself from a finance aspect working for you. But that's when you incorporate, other people, where you're your fitness coach. You've got to have people you regularly go to, because not only does it help you in finance, it helps you in your mental state, your fitness state. All those things come into play.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah. And look, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, but if you're not paying tax, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to borrow money.
Yeah, that's right.
Look at him trying to get in there. Look at him trying to get in there. What an accountant.
That was his tax joke.
Yeah. You can tell that was an accounting joke.
And then he passed the mic over. So
That was a mic. That was a mic drop.
That was a suave. That was
a
suave.
podcast mic drop.
I like it. I'll bring him back next week. I like it. Now, I wanted to pivot the questions actually out of finance a little bit and just pick your brain around, being family men.
Yep.
I know both of you are happily married and have some beautiful kids at that. Tell me, what's it like balancing between, running your own business, obviously being that husband and father figure?
Would you say that's a loaded question as well, by the way?
That feels like he's being bullied. So
I guess that comes back to like the reason I wanted to start my own business, having that work-life balance, being able to spend more time with the wife, kids, do the school drop-offs. Like earlier today, I was at my daughter's athletics carnival.
No, actually, they started at Run Club.
Oh,
Shout out to Culture Run Club.
And that's what I'm trying to get at in terms of back to being a business owner, being like the captain of the ship. You've also got to look after yourself, because you're the machine of that ship and continuing. So keeping your mental health in state to be like a great dad, a great partner, a great business owner, a great friend, and starting your day out, getting up at 5 o'clock, going to Culture Run Club.
Yeah, boy.
I see Brad sometimes he's juggling from pick up, drop off duty. He's then going to, getting clients. He's like driving to clients, getting a form signed, coming in, doing Zoom meetings. And, I take it off to you, my hat off to you, mate. Like, you do a lot. And sometimes, like when we talked about mental health last week, right? And there's a lot that a working dad takes on. Like, I have no children myself, but just seeing some of you guys, like how you juggle everything, it is a testament. Like, sometimes people don't check in on you when you guys are taking on a lot, right? Like, we talked about mental health last week, and, who's checking up on you? You're the only one checking up on yourself sometimes, right?
I think it comes back to the partner at home, because I guess you can only be as good as your wife or partner that's in the background helping you.
Shout out to Ash.
Shout out to Ash. 19 years, happily married, 3 kids.
Look at this guy.
And
this guy could be on The Bachelor, and look at him, he's got 19 years.
No, I'm definitely punching. All the kids look like my wife. That's what it comes down to. The great support from home allows you then to be the great business owner, the great father, the great person in general.
Play all the roles.
Yeah, trying to play all those roles.
And Cordwell, for you, mate, I know often I've been on the phone, we've been talking numbers, and then we pull up at the soccer field and I can hear you on the other side yelling at your son, and I'm yelling at mine on the other side of the field. How do you, what's your best advice for a father that's in business?
Look, I come back to having that great team environment. So if you look at, obviously, firstly, my wife, very supportive at home, very understanding. Sometimes we have to work long hours, but also the team around you. Even if we talk about the 5 of us in this room, having a good network, having a bit of fun. But for me, finding a balance, I was never good at it. Let's be honest. I was a bit of a workaholic, and then had some kids, and it changed my whole perspective on life, I guess. You go from being this just husband and wife kind of environment, having kids, responsibilities, and honestly, there's nothing better than coming home. The kids are, running around pretending that they're rugby league stars, and high-fiving, dad, cuddles, kisses, all that type of stuff. Nothing better than coming home after a hard day at work, and it just puts, I guess, everything in perspective.
Yeah.
Really.
I guess I see myself as a bit of a workaholic, and I always think to myself, when I have kids, will my life change, or will my perspective change, or will my mindset start to change? Was it a sudden click Was it a sudden shift or was it just a gradual? Sorry
there
if this is
something
a
that-
loaded question, by the way. I feel like I have
Sorry,
Sorry, I want to say this every single time.
every time.
Well, maybe if you just ask one question.
Well, I'm giving a bit of context. So, do you think it was? Did you feel like it was a bit of a shift? Because I can relate to that, man. Like I can relate. You saying you're a bit of a workaholic and this and that, and I've definitely spent my stupid hours in the week, like we probably all have. But I was always curious to know, when I have kids, is it going to be a shift suddenly, or is it just going to be a gradual? You know what? My priorities have to start changing.
Yeah, no, I think for me it was pretty much instant.
Yeah,
You see,
man.
you know, over a 9-month period, you see this, you know, you're starting out from nothing, your wife growing this child, and 9 months is this human just lying in front of you. It's an instant love.
100%.
Like, you know, Benny could
Yeah,
attest to
100%.
that as well.
It's the moment those eyes open, man. Something shifts.
Did you feel like you guys had to hustle harder to accommodate for a family,
I
new
think
family?
you had the
member?
hustle smarter.
Smarter, okay.
Yeah, I think smart is right, because you know you've got this onus on your shoulders to be able to provide and put, you know, food on the table for the kids, but also, man, like, you know, I feel like I had my first child only yesterday, and you know he's about to turn 8, and
far
that's
out.
like,
I
you know,
know.
it's gone like that, and you know, same with the other 2 kids, just growing up way too quickly. So you have to enjoy that time. And unfortunately, we've all seen and been involved in people's lives where things can change pretty quickly. So for me, it was about embracing that time with the kids whilst also maintaining a healthy work balance and getting the job done. And that's the clients. That's what the clients want.
You know, we as fathers, we hope to be that inspiration for our little ones, right? We hope that they look up to us and see what we do, and they're a reflection of that, you know. So it's important for us to also have that sort of work ethic as well, because we can't park the bus. We need to keep driving, because I want to show, and the boys do too, that, you know, we are the leaders in our community, you know, and we're doing what we're congruent with our word, and we say what we're going to do. And our kids are only a reflection of that. And I know they're both their kids, and they're great kids, and you guys are great fathers and have great partners, and the dynamic is fantastic. So, you know,
I think it's different from business to business too. I think we're lucky in the professional services space is we can manage our time maybe a little bit easier. But I guess it's also the hard work you put in before you have the kids and create those procedures, the team around you, having a great business partner like I do. Shout out to my business partner, Alex. But setting
talking business partner, sorry to cut you off, but I wanted to ask Dan something.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting how Dan got into business, because traditionally as a business owner, you either start up your own business or you buy a business, but you decided to marry the daughter of your business partner first and then sneak your way into business.
Was that your strategy?
I didn't want to ask it.
Was that your strategy from the start?
Look, I worked 10 years in the city, had kids, and that's your perspective changes, right? Home for me is where the heart is, and I had to move closer to home. It didn't matter what it was. I had this business plan for the Southwest, lived here for, a number of years, and I seen the opportunity, and, along came...
To marry your wife, or what's the opportunity? Hang on, mate, put that in context.
Yeah. Well, I'd married her before that.
Okay. It was a 20-year plan. 10 years was get married. Make sure that's locked in.
Wait. Go in context. Yeah. So married. Hang on. I need to know the timeline. You married first.
I need to work this out for myself.
Then bought into the business with the father.
Yeah, you're putting me right on the spot. Yeah. I've been married for 10 years. Yeah, April.
It was before the business purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'd been married for... When I joined GPL, I've been there for left my previous employer 2006. So I've been there for the best part of 7 years.
And what's it like working with father-in-law?
Look, it's great. Again, home is where the heart is ultimately. I enjoy working with family. When I had sort of mentioned I was going to do that to people, I was working around the time. How can you work with family? This, that, and the other. But to be honest, I love it. I mean, it's the hardest part is just decompartmentalizing work and family. Because there's times there where I could see those people 7 days a week, 5 days a week, 5 days at work, and then 2 days at home. And there's kids, and I want my kids to have a good relationship with all their grandparents and things like that. So it is a challenge in a sense that I need to be better at decompartmentalizing the work side and the home side, and leaving them both behind. And I have an unwritten rule for myself, is that work's work, home's home. So when we go to work, we're there to work. When we go home,
Shut off.
I have a bad habit of not switching off, but that's what I want to be ultimately
Working towards.
It's just when I'm home, it's about home. It's about my wife, my kids, my parents, my grandparents, all those types of things.
It is easier said than done, because you always want to separate it. But when you get a call off your client, like especially starting off, even now, like 8 years in, your clients are gold, right? If there's an emergency, you're going to drop everything to help them. It's very hard to go, you know what, I'm going to shut off, because if they need help, you're going to help them. They're your clients.
They're so important to you, your clients as well.
Yeah.
But
you can't just switch it off, especially when you're not working for a corporate organization. You don't have the backing of a big bank. This is your business. And I truly care about my clients. You would hate to think that you couldn't switch off, because you'd be thinking about it the whole time. So you're doing more.
It's that balance. It's really finding that balance.
Yeah.
Dan's answered my call late at night when I've double dialed and he knows it's serious. He picks up the phone. He knows when I need him most.
Call. Yeah.
But sometimes it's just that conversation where I put myself under pressure and I need that different perspective from my accountant, and he will take that call. Brad has also taken that call on a Sunday afternoon when I needed some advice and stuff. And again, it's off the back of how powerful your A team is and your Connect team is, right? But in the interest of time, boys.
Yeah, look, thanks for joining us there. But we'd like you to stay on, because we wanted to go into another segment, which we're starting for the first time, and we call it Grind My Gears. So, Pat, did you want to kick it off? Because I know you've got something that's growing. You were so passionate about it before we started the podcast.
I'm usually a very easygoing guy, guys.
Well, put into context what is Grind My Gears, like for our listeners. What's the
look, there's a lot of things that annoy us, so we just thought we'd make it into a segment, so it's easy to talk about.
Is there a lot of things that annoy us?
No. I think there's
a lot of things annoy him. Somehow he's weaseled his way into doing it.
Yeah, true.
Why do people? Why do people ask loaded questions? Do we know?
That's one. Write that down.
That's really triggered Daniel.
No, look, we said we started this podcast because it's a no BS podcast, right? We see a lot of stuff online. 100%. We see a lot of stuff that's just people are getting taken advantage of. In this world, I feel like social media has brought out that hate sells. If you hate something, whether it be you hate the way politics are going, you hate the way people are being beta males, and there's all this thing about being the alpha male. You got to be like this if you want to get girls. You got to be like this if you want to be successful. If you want to be in business, you've got to follow my program because I have all the answers. And then all of a sudden, you're dragged down the path of following this person, and you're not just following what they said to you to teach you about whether it be business or whether it be about dating or politics or religion. All of a sudden, your way of thinking is exactly what that person views everything in life. And now you've got these followers. And look, I don't want to get into politics, but there's a lot of politicians out there that are forming a large fan base or a large group of supporters off the back of just hating. This is what's coming.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cult-like following. I think if someone gets drawn to a message that comes from a particular person that's in the spotlight, they connect with that message, and then they're curious to see more of that person. They watch more of their videos, and they get sucked into that person's funnel online, whether it's social media or YouTube or whatever it is. And the more videos they watch of that person, the more they start to connect with a bit more that they say. And then eventually, like what you're saying, they may turn into a person that completely that shifts their whole character, shifts their whole character, shifts their whole personality just into mimicking this person and what their perspectives are in life and that sort of thing. And I guess it also comes down to how strong-willed and strong-witted the person is, and how easily swayed they can be, and how direct this other person in the spotlight is pushing their message, and also how vulnerable.
Well, I think it's
following
also they see this person and they see the way they talk. Like, let's just take
Give us an example.
Andrew Tate, for example.
Yeah.
Or, the Fit and Fresh podcast, right? They bring these OnlyFans girls on
What's
because I don't know. But
Yeah, they
Don't point at me.
Those things that spin
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
They want
they're-
to
they're-
cool you
they're
down.
not
We
air
install heaps of
conditioning.
fans.
They're not air conditioning. They're only fans.
Yeah.
They're only fans.
That's one of our suppliers. Fan
So,
shop.
so they'll get these girls on, and then they'll debate about feminism. They'll debate about politics and how a woman should be at home. But what they're trying to do is make these girls look dumb and look stupid and talk to them in a certain way. But then the people think that, if they can talk to them like that, I can talk to every female like that, and I can tell my opinion like that.
Yeah, I'm not so keen on that. I'm not so keen on the whole alpha male sort of approach.
Well, it's not teaching youngsters. Like, you see some youngsters and the way they talk, it is changed.
Some of them, you just think to yourself, man, that will not work.
That
out
will
for you
not
in
work.
life.
Yeah.
That's
Have you
not
met
gonna
my
work.
wife? You want to talk to my wife like that? You know what should do?
Yeah.
Headbutting.
You just, in general, you don't speak to women like
Yeah.
that, like your Andrew Tates and all that. Well, there's some rules that are powerful. I also don't agree with everything that he says, but Pat hit it on the head. It's also a perspective thing. You can thumb scroll and scroll past, or people can consume in how much they listen to. I believe the brain is a muscle, and the more you get involved, the more you like and share, the algorithms of social media will keep popping up.
But that's the thing, right? Because what I come back to is hate sells, because you're more drawn to something that is someone's loud and someone's
That's what
pushy
sells,
and
yeah.
aggressive.
Well, it's
So you
clickbaity.
keep
isn't it?
watching. Yeah,
It's clickbaity. It's like the
everything
Daily
is-
Mail, man. When you're seeing stuff on the Daily Mail, I think, did we have a conversation
Yeah,
about this the other
like-
day? Their topics are just like, their subject lines are so
It's
clickbaity.
designed.
Yeah,
to
100%.
Because
That's their marketing.
normal news is boring. Right?
Yeah.
Let's just say, for example, even like the rise of Donald Trump, right? Like that is like the media hates him, but the media loves him at the same time, because
So
no one
freaking-
would watch the news if he wasn't in the media.
Do you love him,
So
Ron?
they need, look, I don't want to bring my political views out in the open, because we can do a whole nother podcast. That's going to be a spin-off episode of.
It's politics.
Yeah. You know what?
Don't
Okay.
get him started.
So from what that goes into, it sort of ties into what grinds my gears. There's something that came up for me that I'm starting to notice a lot more these days with younger people, and a lot of issues will probably be aligned with a few younger people because they're the social media generation
No
and
cap.
that sort of stuff.
No cap. I don't even know what that means. I know I hear some kids saying it.
So something that I feel has been very consistent with a lot of the younger people I've been dealing with is that they're very inspired by what they see online on TikTok and Instagram and Reels and YouTube and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of inspirational characters online. And now more than ever, there's all these life coaches and business coaches and telling you how you should be and how you should live your life. And each and every one of them, I would assume, would do it with good intention. And there's a lot of value that comes off the back of that. And it's a good thing that you're absorbing this sort of content and listening to these people talking with the intention to better your life and improve your life. But I feel like all it does is hype these people up. It hypes younger people up with the mindset of, this is who I am now because I've absorbed all this context, all this content of this person speaking and talking this way and saying life this way, that this is who I am on a subconscious level I'm talking about. And where it's like they're wearing just rose-colored glasses, and they're not congruent with the messaging. So their actions don't follow through with what they say they'll do. It's like they'll say they're this sort of person, and they'll say that their intention is like this, and they'll say they want to do this and they want to do that and blah, blah, blah. But the execution is so poor. It's next to no execution, and it's completely incongruent with what they're actually saying.
Well, I think we come from a generation where your word is
Your word is your bond. Your word is, yet your credibility is directly in line with your word.
Yeah. If I told you it's going to be there at 2:00 on Thursday, I'll be there at 1:30.
100%.
You know,
100%.
99% of these kids, they tell you they're going to be there at 2:00 and they don't turn up.
And you know what?
But they have no intention to turn up, and that's the problem.
Yeah. You come across a fair few of those. And that's not to discredit the ones that do, because I still know a lot of younger people that do follow through with their word.
Yeah.
Like a couple of my guys, they're supposed to start at a certain time, and they know that to always start earlier, and they're in the same. They're in the same generation, but they know that. They've set that standard for themselves. But there's just so many others that are just not congruent with their word. They would say something, but the follow through is next to, it's not even connected to what
Do you
their
think that's
messaging is.
a flow on of what they, from social media?
What else could it be? Because there's so many inspirational videos and so much inspirational content and reels online, and reels are so easily absorbable. It's 15 seconds or a minute worth of motivation that you get sucked into, and you think to yourself, your dopamine levels go up. You start painting yourself in a picture of, this could be me. And you know what? I'm going to start working towards it. So you start convincing yourself that this is what I'm working towards. This is what I'm working towards. And you just follow that dopamine hit of, okay, this is who I'm becoming. But really, the credibility comes from your actions.
Well, yeah, I'm okay if you're working towards being that
100%,
person,
100%.
but you have to be congruent with your word.
100%.
Oh, look, I've had a number of people that have reached out to me that have said, I want to get into financial planning. I want to look at the avenues. And, you go have a conversation with them and sit down just for I never like to have an interview, organize an interview. I always like to have a coffee chat. If I'm thinking about potentially hiring someone, I want to have a coffee chat first and then just get together on one-to-one. And you get to know them, and you're like, when you really find out, it's like, oh, yeah, I was thinking of doing financial planning, mortgage broking or something else isn't really working out. So I wanted to see this. And it's like, okay, because from your message to me on LinkedIn was that you really want to get into financial planning. You really want to help people. But when I've sat down with you, this message that it was this, passionate person has now come across as someone that this is an option. If I'm hiring a financial planner, I want to make sure, for me, it's an investment. For me, it's an investment to train you, to get your systems, for your salary, everything. But for you, it's just an option, and it might work out. So where was that passion that came from the message? And it probably was after seeing a reel, right? I can really get into this, and then it changes. Like you guys know, hiring people as well in what you do.
And it also breaks trust as well. Sorry. Yeah. It also breaks trust.
These guys are still here. So
tell us. But I think have you experienced that?
No, but I think in general, it just comes back to what we're talking about with being leaders, being business owners, sort of setting, like we're not perfect in ourselves, but if we set the level of, and then teaching those the younger generation of how to be, like even as dads, and teaching our kids of how to act, how to behave, like things that we learn as we were kids. I think that's what we can then give back to.
But we also do it, like we could easily, go start up these groups online, right? Give coaching advice. Like I could stop being a financial planner, being a money coach, get people onto programs. But for us, it's not telling people they have to do this. We are just advisors, right? Our job is to give people information, education, help them make an informed decision, and they can do it. I feel like online and these groups, it's just like this, you have to follow me. And if you don't follow me, you're wrong.
It's not going to work.
It's not, this might be some good advice. This is the best advice. And that's the difference between.
Well, I think that the whole coaching sector has boomed from probably COVID, off the back of COVID. You've seen a spike in people trying to mentor, coach, and then it's.
Well, everyone's changed. Like they're not just good. Like it's not perfecting what you do now, because you can, instead of perfecting what you do, you can just go online, get a following, focus on getting people that are vulnerable, and it's getting more money than what you were going to do in terms of that career choice, right?
Look, as well, that's our perspective from the outside. The vulnerable people that we could be, I'm using quotation fingers, whatever it is. The vulnerable people from the outside that we think are vulnerable could be absorbing value from those people that are online. And I guess if it works for them, if it works for the online coach and it works for the vulnerable person that's absorbing value, then so be it. But we are seeing a lot of it, and how many people have just been called out to be fake?
Oh, look,
just
don't get me
renting
wrong,
Airbnb.
there's good ones. There are good ones, right?
Yeah,
But
you can't generalize it over. You know what I mean? Like there's some that probably approach a business coach, and if you're working with the right business coach or mentor, and you get a lot of value out of it.
I'm not talking about the shadow box 55 day.
No, I'm talking about the trajectory.
I realised I was sitting next door.
Yeah, you came my whole business. No, but for the right coach.
No
and
wonder
the
you
right
were so
person.
quiet.
No, if I'm saying for the right coach and the right person at the right
100%.
time. But they also have to back up what they do. I can
Yes.
give them the level of guidance and standards and habits. You have to then go implement it.
Yes.
Which is off the back of what you just said, you know?
Yeah, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Say that all the time.
That is my quote, and he's just stole it. You've been hanging around me too much.
I say that to the guys all the time.
I think also there's people that are leading the horse to the water where there's no water in the dam.
That's what it is.
You know what I mean? So like my job is to fill the dam first,
Yep.
which means that I have to work on myself, and half these guys are full of
And they're across the world, right?
Yeah.
So there's no regulation in these industries.
No.
Like all your clients, right? You've probably jumped on the phone call with them as well, right?
100%.
It's you're in person, it's over Zoom, and you're on the phone, and you're speaking to them directly. That's no BS. A lot of this other stuff is templated.
Yeah.
It's just same process for everyone.
Cookie cutter, cut and paste.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Every
funny,
challenge of yours
What we're talking about is grind my gears, and we all had one to present today. And I laugh because mine is off social media too. And you guys spoke about social media, that's another topic for another day.
I think. Are you saying we need a whole episode on this?
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying? Yes.
Well, all three of us are something grinded. Mine is the swipe right society that we have at the moment. So the ones that can't commit to anything because it's always like grass is greener. Swipe, and I'm finding that, the kids that I'm dealing with all the time, they can't ever commit to something because the minute it gets challenging or hard or difficult, then I'm pivoting on to something else. Yep. And then I find they're just always chasing.
Yes.
All the time, we've put service into what we've done. This has been years of reading books and, doing your research and, all the lifetime in the trade to get to and there were moments, man. Can I swipe? No, I got to stick it out, man.
Like you said, I think all three of us started in the city. I worked in the city for 7-8 years, going from Bosley Park to North Sydney. There was 2 hours each day. So 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. And I would never do that again.
It was hard yakka.
I did it for 7-8 years. And we did all the hard yards before we go, you know what? We can step out and be a business owner. People are thinking it's too easy these days where you can just become a business owner after you've got your qualifications. And look, some people it might work out, but I feel like you have to have that real life experience and really, be at the bottom, do the crap
everything
stuff.
looks easy. They want the easy. Give me the easy road. I want to, if there's stairs or flat path, I walk the flat path,
instant gratification.
Yeah, we've got to change that culture. We've got to prepare for toughness, man. We've got to prepare for the hard times and then don't run. Face it when it's there in front of you and man up to it a little bit and see where that takes you in terms of growth.
It will eventuate into survival of the fittest. The people that do stick it out, this is my theory, the people that would stick it out and won't swipe right or left or whatever it is, they don't swipe away and don't steer away from the challenge, they're the ones that will come out on top at the end of the day because they will be the fittest, they will be the strongest, they will be able to face adversity in its hardest times because they've built that muscle, they've built the brain through the challenges, and you're all about that at Shadowbox. So, but imagine what society and business and the mental health in business and employment would look like if that swipe right wasn't there. Imagine what that would. It would just. I feel like it would be a lot more seamless because so many issues won't be there.
Well, every time you drop the ball, right? Every time you walk past something and there's a bit of litter on the floor and you step over it, or you don't push your trolley back to the trolley thing. I see some now and I think, man,
hold yourself to a higher standard, man. Far out.
It's because of this. Yeah. It's because of the problem that it's just, I want the easy road now. Yeah. I'll push it into the car. It's for somebody else to deal with like that.
And the social
you only get 5
influence.
beeps per episode. So
or putting the dumbbells back, man. How many times I see you put the dumbbell back and it's off-centered? Man, pick it up and put it straight. You grabbed it straight.
I think that's OCD.
Yeah. I think we're going to different territory here.
It's the little
I
things.
hate when
man.
when they lift the toilet seat up and then they don't put it down.
That's a different argument. Yeah.
Which we can have another.
Yeah, we can do that.
That comes
I hate when
One of our wives.
I hate when Megan leaves her coffee cup out and then she doesn't bring it back.
Or she doesn't drink her coffee. That's another one.
Oh wait, you did mention that on another one.
Yeah, Serena doesn't drink a.
They don't finish their coffee.
Is it a female thing?
No, cup of tea, yes.
Yeah, a cup of tea, half a cup of tea every
man.
time at night, and
I'll be lucky.
and ice cream in the ice cream bowl. Reach your bowl.
Yeah. She's in
sorry.
the microwave because
Yeah.
she's been trying to go.
But why don't they finish their coffee? Like, I feel like that's part of the day
It's
to finish their coffee.
Yeah, I know, man.
I make one tea a year, and it's only half drunk. Like, she'll make the tea all the time, so I'll make one tea, and you think, okay, I made the tea finally. It's like only half.
Why?
Don't know.
Anyway.
Maybe it is.
What were we going to say?
I think I was just going to say, because on the social media point is you guys have got the podcast going and then the reels coming along. So hopefully the more you guys are completing these awesome reels, teaching the younger generation about what's right, what's wrong.
Yeah, and off the
And
back
that's
of
going to
that-
be coming up on their
Well, the
TikToks
only
and
way that
socials,
people are going to
swiping,
see
you know what
it,
I'm
so
trying to
just
say?
remember, we just want to stop this and say like, share, subscribe, get notified of whenever we're dropping an episode. Share our stuff. If you like what you're seeing, just comment, please, because the only way we're going to get this out to more people is if we get more views.
And we're
So
also not here to lecture anyone. Let's be straight, right?
Yeah.
This is,
Look,
we,
we don't
we promise we'll take a no BS approach, and we're consistent with that. So we will be raw and real at times, and you're just going to get to know a few genuine guys, right? Like bomb chums. Whatever you're gonna say.
We are pretty raw. Like
No,
we
it's-
haven't edited anything.
No,
out.
none of
it's
this-
always
that's
been
what
one
I'm
take.
surprised
We
at.
haven't done
None of this is edited,
Besides
whatever.
the
So we
first
want to be
episode.
real and raw, but we also don't want to lecture anyone either. If it feels right for you, then you do it, right?
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
Okay, I think with that, we
Interest
wrap
of
it up,
time.
guys. Yeah. So look, thanks Dan and Brad for coming on. Thank you for telling us more about the Connect fam. And next event when is that?
20th of July.
25th of July, and it's all available on the socials as well. You guys are on Facebook, Instagram, Eventbrite link. We'll put the details in this episode. If you do want to get a ticket, it's at, where is it at, guys? Camden Hotel, 25th.
25th of July, Thursday, 3:30 start.
Sponsored by Coots.
Sponsored
Coots
by
Solicitors.
Nice. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming
Thanks
on.
for having us.
All right, guys,
Thanks for
and we'll connect with you next time.
Yep. See you later, fellas.
See you guys. See you
Thank
later.
you.
We made this a free platform because we want to educate and add value to your business world. All we ask for as a payment is to hit the subscribe button and share it with people that you know would benefit from this conversation. If you want to elevate your connections, we'll see you at the next Connect MacArthur event.